New York Attorney General Letitia James is under federal indictment for mortgage fraud. Her team calls it political retribution. The Justice Department says no one is above the law, quoting something she said in a tweet some time ago. So in this video, I want to map out what in the world is going on. This is the Dollemore Daily. I'm guest host Garrison Hayes. More on me a little bit later on. Let's dig in. So I want to start with this video. Just the other night, AG Letitia James had this to say while speaking at a Zohran Mamdani rally in New York City.
You see, I know what it feels like to be attacked for just doing your job. But I also know what it feels like to overcome adversity. And so I stand on solid rock. And I will not bow, I will not break, I will not bend, I will not capitulate, I will not give in, I will not give up. You come for me, you gotta come to all of us. Every single one of us. We're all in this together.
So I want to start with what is being alleged, what this case is all about. As has been reported, this case is about a house in Norfolk, Virginia. So back in 2020, Tish James purchased a second home down in Virginia and said that it would be her second home. It would not be her primary home, but it would be a secondary home that she would live in part-time. And by doing that, it saved her $19,000 as opposed to saying that it would be an investment property, which is kind of naturally a more risky investment. So her loan terms were better as a result. But prosecutors from the DOJ said that she never really intended to live there, that she lied, that instead she intended to rent this out to someone else. So they are charging her with bank fraud and false statements to her lender. The reality is that this case rises and falls entirely on a single word. The word is intent. What James represented to the bank when she signed that document versus what she actually did. Letitia James, of course, calls these charges baseless and a continuation of the president's weaponization of the DOJ, and she vows to fight them.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost.
The reality is that Tish James has a point. As she has pointed out, a career DOJ U.S. attorney, Eric Seibert, resigned after being pressured by the Trump administration to bring charges against her. And the facts actually really matter here because back in June, the grandniece of Letitia James actually testified to a grand jury that she lived in the house and that she never paid rent for the years that she lived there, that Tish James was responsible for renovations and repairs in the home, and that Tish James regularly visited for extended periods of time to see her family in the area. All of this, in my estimation, actually undermines the DOJ's allegations that this was some big investment property play. But what probably undermines the case of the DOJ against Tish James more than anything else are the actions of the president. It's the fact that President Trump accidentally posted publicly what he meant to DM to AG Pam Bondi. The goal was to pressure her to bring charges against his political enemies. He mentions James Comey, he mentions Adam Schiff, he mentions Letitia James. He even talks about the need to get the person who ended up bringing the charges against Tish James into the position to do so after Eric Seibert determined that there was no case and that it did not make sense to bring charges against AG James. This is, to me, the clearest evidence so far of the president's intent to sic law enforcement on named political enemies. If you're a defense lawyer for one of these folks, this, in my opinion, has to be the heart of your malicious, selective, vindictive prosecution motion to dismiss. I mean, the dude literally said in a post on a social media platform that he owns that, quote, they impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times. And he said this as a justification for bringing indictments against them in retaliation.
Oh my God, he admitted.
Now, a lot of people are noting that this isn't a ton of money. It's $19,000. In fact, it's actually $18,933. So just under $19,000 is what she's accused of saving or benefiting on from the deal with her very specific home loan kind of arrangement, as it being a second home versus an investment property. This alleged saving or financial benefit isn't the kind of millions or even tens of millions or maybe hundreds of millions of dollars you'd expect for a case that rises to this level of importance for the Department of Justice and the White House, the Trump administration at large. You'd expect it for it to kind of be for a much larger sum of money. I mean, these are taxpayer dollars being put to work when you have literal pedophiles and murderers and all kinds of people out there who commit insane fraud to the tune of tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe even billions of dollars. And they're putting the resources of the Department of Justice behind this thing that amounts to $19,000. It just doesn't really make sense. But I actually think the smallness is the point. You have to remember that for Trump, the entire point is that he thinks his hush money scheme or his role in the January 6th insurrection was minuscule at worst. He thinks that he should not have been prosecuted or criticized, even in the least, for the roles that he played in these crimes, right? His entire point is that if he can be taken down or sullied by something small, his enemies should be as well. Okay, so I want to boil this down to a few points that I think you should remember as this kind of plays out. So, of course, we're still waiting for some of the details that the DOJ has in this case against Letitia James. We don't know exactly what they have, and so we are waiting for some of that stuff to come out. But we can kind of begin to put together an idea of what AG James and her legal team will be arguing against these very specific allegations. I think the number one thing you can expect to see from AG James and her legal team is the fact that a red line has been crossed here. The president publicly demanded prosecutions for his perceived political enemies, right? The independence of the DOJ completely breached. And the irony, the hypocrisy in all of this is that they spent years trying to tell the public that the Biden administration was weaponizing the DOJ and was weaponizing the government against Donald Trump, and things that we literally know he did. Like, we literally know he incited an insurrection or a riot or whatever it is that you want to call it. His signature, his very distinct signature, was on a check in a hush money scheme. Like, these things are, you had witnesses, eyewitnesses. Let me not go down that rabbit hole. The point is that a line has been crossed. They are weaponizing the government against AG James. I also think that there are irregularities in the process that need to be called out. You have a career attorney saying that there is no case here. Then that person was sidelined and ultimately resigned. And a new leader was kind of installed to pick it back up and advance it anyway. And of course, when you consider the facts of this case, one, it is completely irregular for them to go after someone for this small amount of money. But beyond that, there was no rental agreement, is what AG James and her team are saying. All the payments were made by Letitia James, is what they're saying. They're saying that she retained control and access and visited the home often. That's what they're saying, right? Like, it doesn't live up to the alleged, investment property allegations. And so the intent claim is I think overblown. I think that's what they'll be saying no matter what. Said in a different way, it's not just what they are charging her with, right? It's how they got here. If the route to indictment looks rigged or is rigged, I think the judge has an obligation, a responsibility, and often they do throw these kinds of cases out. Time will, of course, tell. We don't know. That's just my kind of assessment here based on the facts. That's what I think, but I want to know what you think down in the comments. Let me know. Of course, huge thanks for watching this video. Make sure you like this video. If you aren't subscribed to Jesse Dollemore's channel, you can go ahead and subscribe down below. My name is Garrison Hayes. I have the honor, the privilege, the joy of sitting in this seat as a guest host for a little bit here while Jesse is out. You guys were so nice to me last year. I really do mean it. And so I'd appreciate it if you came over and subscribed to my channel where I talk about history and politics and culture and usually the intersection of all of them. I just put out a video about Black on Black policing, the way that Black communities leaned into policing. So go check that one out. Give it a like. Make sure people get to see that as well. You can, of course, follow Jesse Dollemore on all platforms at Dollemore. You can find me on TikTok and Instagram and all the other places, Blue Sky, by going to my channel, pressing subscribe, and then clicking the link to the rest of my stuff. Of course, I'm grateful to be here. Good to see you. Let me know what you think down in the comments. That's it for this one. I'll see you next time. Peace.